Hi, my name is Jarena, and today I will show you how to develop your own applications without coding skills using Navigator. In this brief tutorial, we will build a simple business application from scratch. But before we start, I would like to remind you that Navigator is an enterprise content management software for transparent workflows. By implementing the system, you can easily manage all kinds of business processes. For example, you can store documentation in one place, so you and your employees have access to the information you need anytime from anywhere. You can also capture data from PDF or images to avoid rewriting. Moreover, you can easily integrate the system with your favorite tools, and also you can build your own applications without coding skills. So let's start. Here is the main view of the system. Usually we divide it into three sections: the left side menu with all the applications, the main part with the company's news, and the right side bar with all the tasks and documents that need a particular user's attention or action. This is the classic desktop, however, it could be customized by a user. Navigator's functionality gives a user an opportunity to build their own business application using drag and drop method. It reminds a bit of building with Lego bricks. Take a look. Each application consists of modules. There are lists inside each of the module based on the data entered by filling in a particular form. And each form also contains a workflow process. And today we will go through creating all these elements. So let's start designing our application. Before we start, I would like to mention that we operate within the demonstration environment of Fructon Incorporated, a company that produces and sells juices. All data entered to this sample system is fake. So let's go to the Systems menu and select the Create New Application option. Today we are going to build a simple application aimed to register and process complaints. The whole process of application development in Navigator is very intuitive. Take a look. The first step shows us that we need to choose the name of the application, the icon that would be the best way to describe its content, and the position in the menu. So let's call our application Complaints and choose a suitable icon. My proposition is this one. We will skip the step of choosing the position on the menu for now and proceed to the next step. Step 2 is form creation. Basically, we have three options here. We can design our form from scratch, we can use any of the default ones, or we can choose the pre-designed one form and modify it to suit our needs best. Today we are going to create a new one. Here we go. First of all, we need to choose the type of element we are adding to the system. It would be the form. Also, we need to choose the group of elements. Let's create our form based on the documents type. Also, we need to name our form. My suggestion is Complaint Submission. And also at this point we can add a short description for the rest of our team, so we can make sure everyone understands clearly what our application is aimed to process. So let's leave a brief remark. An application aimed to register and process complaints. Here it is. We will also tick this option, generate from the template form, so the systems will create some fields for us automatically. And let's go to the next step. Here comes one of my favorite steps, a form design. So let's go to the visual editor. We can choose from a variety of field types, depending on what type of data we are going to upload to the system. We can use the built-in field types by selecting one from the list of the most frequently used ones, or we can create our own based on the pure data type. We can easily drag and drop each field and place it wherever we want it to be visible, for example here. By double-clicking on it, we can easily change its name, like this. Also, we can add a container to the form to easily separate different sections of the form. So let's start designing the complaint submission form. We won't need the container, so let's delete it. I would like to change the name of this section into general information. Here it is. Also, we will need some information about the contractor, and my suggestion is to use one of the embedded fields. Here it is. Let's place it on the top of this section. We will also need some information about the complainant. So my suggestion is to rename the field we added previously, and let's set the width of this field to 100%. We will also need some information about the position of the complainant. So let's add a new text box for this purpose. Let's place it here and rename it into position. We won't need the information about the owner, so I will delete this field, and I will also change the field description into complaint description, so the employee will know what they need to type in this specific field. That's it, so let's save our changes. Basically, coming up with the clear field names is the most difficult task in the whole process. However, if we are not sure that employee working with the form knows exactly what to type in a specific field, we can leave a small hint for them. For this purpose, we need to go to the field settings here and go to the translations tab. And in this field, a hint in the field, we can add a brief remark. For example, please enter the first and last name of a complainant. Here it is. Let's save our changes and go to the visual editor to see them. Here it is. The hint is in the field. Let's place one more container for the numbering section. Actually, I won't create a new one. I will use the existing one. Let's rename it into the registration information, like this. Let's hide the menu so we can see clearly what we are dealing with. And let's move this section here. We won't need these fields, so let's delete them. And we can shorten this container and this one to place it one by one. Let's see what we have here. I would like to change this field into submission date. We will need the reference number, and we will set it in the next part of this tutorial. We won't need the external reference number field, so let's delete it. And we will leave the workflow procedure and status fields for now, and we can save our form, and basically it's ready. Now we are going to create the new document type based on the form we've just designed. We need to go to the forms, tick our form, choose the more section and option generate the document type. But why are we doing this? Well, usually we create several forms based on one document type. In case of numerous forms, managing the document type definition significantly speeds up work. Here we have only one form, but if we go to the form settings, we will see what it is really about. Let's choose Edit option and go to the Form tab. Well, with just one click, we can customize our form to suit individual needs. We can hide a certain field. We can set that a particular field needs to be required, or we can exclude it from editing. Let's also automate the numbering of the document. We can leave this task to the machine by defining what information we want to include in the reference number. Let's go to the Settings tab. And let's define the reference number scheme. Let's type in the document symbol. The first member would be a calendar year. The second member will be months. And the third member will be, for example, contractor code. And the first number, let's say it will be number with zeros. Let's save our changes. Let's go back to one more thing. Under the registration information section in our form, we've placed the status field. It will be extremely useful when we are going to view all the submitted complaints on the list. It will help us to see immediately at what stage the particular complaint is. So let's set up some statuses to choose from for our complaint submission form. Let's go to the General tab and add some statuses. The first one will be registered. Let's choose a suitable icon. Let's say it will be the blue one, and save the changes. We will need some other statuses and I will add them quickly. The statuses we've just defined will be also useful for us when we are going to create the procedure for the complaint workflow. I believe that's enough for us so far. The form is ready, so let's save all the changes and move to the next step. The next step is the procedure creation. Let's go to the Procedures tab in the menu and add a new procedure. Let's name it Complaint Workflow. We will need to choose the document we've just created, and let's check the option Default Procedure for the selected document. Here it is, and let's save the changes. And now we move on to the workflow design. So I select the diagram option and start drawing the scheme. To design our workflow procedure, we need 3 tasks and 1 decision. Let's place them all over the scheme and add 1 decision. The first step will be complaint registration. And once it's completed, we move on to the next step, and that would be complaint acceptance. Here it is. And this is a decision, so we have 2 options. If the complaint is accepted, we move on to the confirmation of implementation step. And if the complaint is rejected, we move on to the complaint amendment form step. Just in case some additional information is needed. And once it's provided, we will come back to the complaints acceptance step. And now we need to set up a few more things. First of all, we need to define who will be responsible for performing each step of the procedure. And for this purpose, let's save our procedure and go to the Activities tab. We can assign a task both to the person or position. So let's say the responsible person for the complaint registration step will be the person who launched the workflow. We will need also to set up changes in statuses, and once this person hits the submit button, the status of the complaint will change to registered. And let's save changes and go to the next step. Let's say for complaint acceptance will be responsible everybody from the controlling department. And let's set up statuses. Once the complaint is submitted, let's change the name of this button. Once the complaint will be accepted, the status will change to accepted, and if it's rejected, the status will be set up as rejected. And let's save the changes. For the confirmation of implementation will be responsible the person who launched the workflow, and the status will be archived. And let's save the changes. And also let's set up a responsible person for the complaint amendment step. And this would be also the person who launched the workflow, because this is the person who will possess all the needed information. And the status will change to registered once more. And let's save the changes. And now we are going to generate a very important element of the application based on the document type. And this would be a list containing all the submitted complaints and basic information about them. For this purpose, we are going to the menu, select lists, and add a new list option. We need to set up table. It will be documents because we've created a form based on the documents type. We can choose the type of documents we've created previously, and let's save the changes. You can see all the fields we have included in our form in the lists configuration menu. During these steps, we will define what information is very important for us and we want it to be visible instantly. We can also specify what fields are not relevant and we don't want to see them at all. So let's say the information about complainant is very important and we will place it higher. Let's say the contractor as well. I will need also the information about the status of the complaint. I won't need the information about the position, so I will set it to default hidden. I will also set the complainant to always visible and save the changes. I will also need the reference number. And let's say the complaint description is as well not relevant, so let's set it to default hidden. And let's save the changes. There are 2 steps left. We need to set up a category so we can be sure that documentation is organized properly, and we need to create a module that we will place in the menu. So let's finish the configuration. Let's go to the document categories tab and select add. Let's type in the code for this category and name it complaints. And let's choose the position for it after sales document. And let's save the changes. The last step is module creation. Let's go to the modules tab and add a new module. The name will be complaints. We need to choose the icon, the same we've chosen previously. We need to choose the relation type. It will be a list. Let's connect it to the list we've created, complaint submission. Let's set the document type and the default category. And that's it. Let's save the changes. Let's finish our configuration and run a test. So we need to go to the Applications menu and select Complaints application we've just built. Let's add a new complaint. The name of contractor will be EcoJuice. The name of complainant, let's say it will be John Smith, who will be a controlling specialist in the company named EcoJuice. And let's say John Smith wants to submit a complaint about that his company didn't receive their order from November 1st. The document day will be today, and let's save the changes. Before we go to the workflow tab, I would like us to check also the status of the submitted document. And let's go to the menu and select complaints, and we see the list, and we see that status was set to registered. So let's go to the complaint, and let's go to the workflow tab to check the procedure. So we see that Zoe Roberts has submitted a complaint, and she is also responsible for the complaint acceptance step because she is the part of the controlling department. So let's accept this document. And we see that to complete the procedure, we need the acceptance of Emily Fields. So let's log in as Emily Fields. Here we go. Emily Fields has a document pending on her desk. Let's see what it is. Let's go to the workflow tab, and we see that she needs to accept the complaint as well. So let's accept it as Emily Field, and we have only one step to complete, and we see that responsible for this step is Zoe Roberts. So we need to log in as Zoe one more time. And once more we have the complaint here on the main desktop. Let's go for it, and let's submit the step. So we see that the procedure was completed and the document status changed to archived. Our application is ready to use and works correctly. But what if after some times of using the application it turns out that we need to collect some more data about the particular complaint, or even we need to reorganize the workflow process? It's not a problem. In Navigator we can easily modify each element of the application anytime in the same simple way we've just created it. Take a look. To open the edition mode, we need to go to the Applications menu, choose our application, and select the settings icon. Let's imagine that one of the statuses we've defined is not being used. Nothing is happening, we can easily delete it, and we can make sure that it's not a misleading one for our teammates. So let's go to the system, let's choose the types of documents tab. Let's choose the type of documents we've created and edit it. We need to go to the General tab here and choose the status we want to delete. Let's say in progress status is not involved in the workflow process, so let's just delete it. Let's say that for the purpose of complaint process automation, our controlling department decided to structure the forms of compensation for customers. From now on, there's only 3 options to choose from, and our task is to add the appropriate field to the form. So let's go to the visual editor and choose the proper data type. I would like to add an autocomplete field type. Here it is. Let's add it to the form. And before we save it, I would like to set the options to choose from. For this purpose, we need to go to the field settings. Let's go to the Conditions tab and choose the data set. We would like to choose the simple list and add some elements. The first element will be a full refund. According to the guides from the controlling department, the second element on the list will be replacement. And the third option will be mixed. So So let's save the changes. And I would like to add one more thing to this field. I would like to add a hint for the person who will be filling the form. I want them to know that this is a list, so let's leave a remark. Double click to view options to choose from. That's it. Let's save our changes and go to the visual editor to see them. Here it is. Our field is completed, but I would like also to rename it. Let's name it compensation. So our task is completed, but there is one more thing we need to add to the form. The controlling department needs the person who registers a complaint to provide more data about the complaint product. They could do this in the description field, but this solution is not quite readable, so we decided to add a simple table in the new container. So let's come back to our form and add a new container. My proposition is to name it complaint items. To create a simple table, I will use a field named list of attributes, and I will add it to the container we've just created. I need to go to the settings of this field to define the elements. Our table will consist of 3 columns. To create the first one, I need to select more and add item. Here it is. And let's name our first column. Our first column will be product name. Here it is. And this would be a text box. Here it is. Let's save our changes. I will copy the first element to create the second one and the following. Here it is. The second element will be the integer, and this let's name it quantity. Here it is. Let's save the changes. And let's also create the third one, and this would be the description. And let's use for this purpose the multi-line text field type of data. Here it is. Let's save the changes. And let's set a few more settings for the list view. To do so, we need to go to the whole list settings. I would like to hide the name of the element, and I also need to display it in one column, aligned to the center. So let's save our changes and go to the visual editor to see them. Here it is. Our container is ready. Let's add a new row to see the changes. Here it is. We have the product name, the quantity, and the description as controlling department requested. Once all new elements are added to the form, we need to enable them to use. To do so, we need to go to the Types of Documents tab and select the document type we created previously. Let's go to the Form tab and find the fields we've just created. Here it is, compensation field. We need to make it active, visible, and also editable, as well as complaint items container. So let's include it in our form. Here it is. That's it, the form is ready, but while we were using the application, it also turned out that we need some changes in the procedure as well. So let's open the diagram to see the current procedure. To do so, we need to go to the Procedures tab and select the created procedure for the complaint workflow. Let's go to the Diagram tab. So we see that after the complaint is accepted, it goes to the Implementation step, and for the implementation is responsible the person who launched the workflow. From now on, in the regards to the recent changes, we need to pass on this task to the appropriate department depending on what type of compensation we have chosen at the registration step. So let's delete this step and add the 3 new ones. Let's go to the Activities tab and delete the Confirmation of Implementation step. Here it is. Let's come back to the diagram and add 3 new elements to the scheme. This would be tasks. Here it is. Let's place it over here. And let's go to the addition mode and change the name of the activities. It would be complaint realization, full refund. Here it is. The second one will be complaint realization replacement. And the third one will be complaint realization mixed. Let's also set up the relations. So once the complaint is accepted, it will go to this stage, this and this one. Let's go to the preview mode. So our workflow process is ready, but we need also to set the responsible person for this 3 tasks. So let's go to the Activities tab and let's select the full refund step, and let's set the condition for this step. So once the person who launched the workflow process choose in the compensation field an option full refund, the task of implementation will be passed on to whoever from the accounting department. Here it is. Let's also check the status changes. The status will be changed to completed. Let's save the changes. Let's go to the replacement step and let's repeat the procedure. We would like also to add the new condition, and this would be compensation field equals replacement. Here it is. In this case, for this task will be responsible whoever from the, let's say, logistics department. And let's set up the status also to complete it. Here it is. And the third one is mixed. The condition will be pretty similar. The compensation equals mixed, but here we will have 2 person responsible. This would be whoever from the accounting department and the logistics department. Here it is. Let's save the changes. Let's set up also status changes. Here it is, completed. And one more time, save the changes. That's it. The procedure is changed, so let's run a quick test. So let's finish the configuration. Let's save our application and let's go to the menu. Let's select the complaints and add a new complaint. Let's say the contractor will be Dragon Juice. The complainant name will be Angela Evans. Let's say the Angela is a logistics specialist. Complaint description mistaken, order. We have a new field here and we need to choose the form of compensation. My proposition will be the replacement. Document date, let's say it will be today, and let's fill in the complaint items in the table. Let's say the dragon juice, ordered apple juice, glass bottled, in the amount of 100 pieces. Let's leave the description field empty and save the document. Let's go to the Workflow tab to see the procedure. So we see that Zoe Roberts has registered the complaint, and let's submit it. Our complaint passed on to the second step in the procedure, and when we see that this is the acceptance of everyone from the controlling department, so let's accept it as Zoe Roberts, and let's quickly log in as Emily Fields. We see that Emily Fields has this document on her desktop. Let's go for it. Let's go to the Workflow tab and let's accept the second stage of our process. So we see that in regards to the chosen form of the compensation, the replacement, the task was passed on to the logistics department, and we need to get the acceptance of Lily Wilson, Clara Bober or Darrell Davis to complete the whole process. So let's log in as Clara Bober. We see a document on her desk as well. We see the filled-in form, and let's go to the Workflow tab and let's submit the document. And we see that the process was completed, and we just need the acceptance of only one person from the logistics department. The functionality of our The functionality of our application is now more complex, but let's pay some more attention to its usability. Let's come back to the menu of our application. We need to log in as Zoe Roberts once more to be able to edit the application. Here it is. Let's go to the menu, and we see that we have only one option, complaints, and that to add a new complaint we need to perform too many clicks. So my proposition is to create a new module for our application to be able to add a new complaint in one click. So let's go to the modules tab and let's add a new module. Let's name it add a complaint. Here it is. Let's choose the icon. Let's say it would be squared plus. Here it is. The relation type in this case will be a new document. Let's choose the document type we've defined. Here it is. And this would be the module complaints. Let's save the changes. Let's finish the configuration and let's go to our application to see the changes. Here it is. We have this plus option, and we can just hit this button, and the form will be opened and ready to be filled in. I think that's it for today. Thank you for watching. As you see, the process of application development using Navigator is really simple. I invite you to watch our other tutorials from the different sections covered by Navigator. See you soon.